Welcome to the Road of Champions. Welcome to the new show, Road of Champions. I'm your host, Brian Sweeney, the voice of the Women's Football Alliance Pro Division National Championship game. With me, as always, is Alex Westhead. Alex, it's a new season. We have a lovely new set, a new name for the show, and a couple new teams in the Pro Division.
Well, and that kind of highlights what's going to be a really exciting and captivating season this year in the WFA. New opportunities for new teams and new places, new locations, teams coming back to the league from elsewhere, and a new opportunity for a new champion, perhaps, to be crowned in Canton in July.
Alex, it's hard to believe that we are in our 5th season of covering the league in this weekly formatted show. Let's take a quick look at how the show has changed over the years.
I think that one thing Coach always tells us is to buy in. And I think that, when you have different groups and different individuals year after year.
The Road to Canton. I'm Brian Sweeney, the voice of the WFA Pro Division National Championship. This past weekend, we saw excitement across all venues.
This year's postseason, all 8 teams in the Division III playoffs are new. Alex, your thought on the Division III playoff bracket?
Well, I think I'd like to start in the north. The big storyline here is the offenses. And I think that when you look at these two teams, you have the number 1 offense in Cincinnati, the number 2 offense in Division III.
We want to thank everybody that has given us suggestions throughout the off-season, as we are excited to share many of these changes throughout 2025. When we come back, we will look at the conference makeups for the 2025 Pro Division. Welcome back. Let's take a look at the teams that will be making up the National Conference in the Pro Division. In 2024, the Pittsburgh Passion went 7-1, with their only loss of the season coming in the National Conference Championship game. This year, look for the Passion to have another strong season with sights set on a national championship. The Tampa Bay Inferno did not have the success they wanted in 2024, going 2-5, but hope to rebound this season. The DC Divas went 500 in the regular season for the 2nd straight year and are looking to make 2025 the year that they turn the corner. And we have a new addition to the National Conference in 2025. The Philadelphia Phantoms rejoin the Women's Football Alliance. Alex, your thoughts on this National Conference?
Well, and I think that when we look at the National Conference, the first place is not the teams that are in there, it's the teams that are missing. The Boston Renegades, of course, being the biggest one of all. Dynastic powerhouse that their absence now creates a vacuum in the National Conference. Yes, the Pittsburgh Passion should be the heavy favorites. We'll talk more about them later on in this week's Game of the Week. But you look at a team in the DC Divas, really nice quarterback play, really nice offense. There's a ton of things that you like about DC. You also like Tampa. We'll talk about them coming up in the Game of the Week segment, especially on both sides of the offensive and defensive line. The Philly Phantoms are the wild card here, where you look at how they finished their season in the league that they played in last year, where they won their first game, lost their next 3, and they haven't played since. They have a chip on their shoulder, and they could really be the wild card in a wide open National Conference.
Now let's look at the American Conference teams. In 2024, the Minnesota Vixen went 5-3, with each loss coming to the St. Louis Slam and missing the national championship for back-to-back seasons after making it to the big game the previous 2 seasons. The Cali War finished 2024 at 5-2, which was 1 win more than 2023. They look to keep that momentum going. The Dallas Elite Mustangs went back-to-back years with a 2-4 record, and after ending the season with a win, look to start 2025 that same way. The Houston Energy are ready for 2025 after going 4-2 in 2024. After winning the Division II championship in 2022, the Mile High Blaze have been working hard to make a name for themselves in the Pro Division. In 2023, they went 3-3 And last season, they finished 3-4, getting the 4th loss in the postseason. In 2025, they look to get their first Pro Division postseason win. The Nevada Storm are ready to start the new season, finishing 2024 at 2-4. After winning the 2024 Division II National Championship, the newest Pro Division team is the Nebraska Pride. Last season in D2, they went 7-1, with the only loss coming to a Pro Division team. And the 2024 Pro Division National Champion is back after a perfect 9-0 season, the St. Louis Slam. Alex, what do you like about the American Conference this year?
Well, I like that when you think about it, the American Conference in years past, they've kind of been the second sister to the National Conference with the Renegades in that conference. St. Louis is the prohibitive favorite, not just in the American, but nationwide in terms of the WFA. But you look at the other teams in there, you can make arguments for and against everybody. Minnesota leads that way, certainly, but I have questions about the quarterback situation, among other things. You look at Mile High, defense is great, but can the offense match? Cali Warren the same way. Can they provide enough defensively to be competitive? This is a really interesting conference, and even Nebraska in their first year in the American at the pro level, they've had a pro-style offense, but can they play with the big dogs at the pro flag?
We'll be right back to look at the Week 1 matchups. Welcome back. Now, let's look at the Week 1 matchups. The Minnesota Vixen welcomed the newest members of the Pro Division, the Nebraska Pride. These teams met last season when the Pride were a Division II team, with Minnesota shutting out the Pride. The Dallas Elite Mustangs will open the season on the road when they head north to play the national champion St. Louis Slam. Last season, these teams met in Dallas, with St. Louis getting the victory. The Cali War are on the road at the Nevada Storm. Last season, these teams met twice, and although War claimed both victories, the Storm cut that margin by more than half the second meeting. One of the newest WFA teams, the Philadelphia Phantoms, welcomes one of the league's oldest teams, the DC Divas. The Houston Energy and the Mile High Blaze will each begin this season with a bye. And in the first game of the week for the 2025 season, the Pittsburgh Passion travel to play the Tampa Bay Inferno. Last season, these two teams met twice, once in the regular season and again in the postseason, with Pittsburgh getting the victories both times. This game will air at 6 p.m. Eastern on the All-Women's Sports Network. Alex, Pittsburgh stayed healthy last season, and it got them to the conference championship game. Will 2025 be the year that we see the Passion back fending for a national title?
Well, the short answer to that question, Brian, is it better be. Anything less, to me, than a Pittsburgh Passion appearance in Canton, Ohio in late July on ESPN2 is a failure of a season for the Pittsburgh Passion. That might be harsh to hear, but it might be going into this season the words that they need to hear, especially the way that they really floundered down the stretch in both of their postseason games against Tampa and against Boston. Looking at the Pittsburgh Passion a year ago, they were 7-1. They were clearly the darlings of the National Conference after Boston showed their weaknesses early on in this season. Now, when you look at the Pittsburgh Passion again this season in 2025, they return a lot of what they had last year. You look specifically at their quarterback position. Marcelina Chavez was good a year ago. Not great, but good. Looking at the statistics, 900 yards passing, 55% completion. Good, not great, but a still consistent step from Melissa George in years previous for the Pittsburgh Passion. You look at their running back core. Devin Peace returns. 9 rushing touchdowns a year ago for the Pittsburgh Passion. A significant impact player in their backfield to be able to create offense and sustain drives. You look at the wide receiving core, one of our players to watch for the WFA this season, Jana Meister, who's going to be one of our players of note this season that Lois Cook's going to sit down and talk with. Had a good season, 315 receiving yards last year, good, but again, not great when compared to the context of what you expect from a championship caliber offense. You look at their defensive line too, they have a lot of big players that are returning on the defensive side of the football for the Pittsburgh Passion. You look at Danasha Harris, leading tackler for Pittsburgh a year ago, 58 tackles by herself, leading interceptionist a year ago with 7. 200 total return yards on the interceptions a year ago for the Pittsburgh Passion. You tack on Hannah Niedermeyer on the defensive line as well, combined with a good middle linebacking core, and this Pittsburgh team is, well, poised to be in a good spot to win once again this season. Meanwhile, in Tampa Bay, you look at what the Tampa Bay Inferno have heading on into this season after what they did a year ago. A little bit disappointing of a season for a team that started in 2011 and is used to winning another losing record season for the Tampa Bay Inferno. When you think about Tampa, depth at all the positions, but not really anything at the skill positions that stands out to you. Yes, you had All-Americans in Meg Joyce. Yes, you had All-Americans in your 2 running backs. But not a lot of yardage from them. And certainly when you look at their schedule, you can point at that schedule and say, well, yeah, of course not, because they played a tough schedule, and when you play a tough schedule, your offense is going to be stymied a little bit. But when we saw the Inferno in the back half of the season, winning the 2 games that they won against a very good West Palm Beach squad and against the Alabama Fire, and then taking that Pittsburgh game and really making it close in that first quarter, you could see the flashes of brilliance start to come across the screen for Tampa Bay last year. Now it's just time for them in 2025 to be able to put it together. You look at that quarterback spot, too, for Tampa. That's a really big, interesting conversation for me. Candace Brady was the quarterback a year ago, was good, 400 yards, 50% completion, but no touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Not what you need to be competitive enough at the top level as a quarterback. You need to be able to put 6 points on the board with every drive, either through the air or on the ground. They did it on the ground. They just couldn't get it through the air. The big thing for me for Tampa is, again, their defensive and offensive lines. They had 5 All-Americans on both sides of the offensive and defensive line, including their starting center. That's really going to be the focal point for the Tampa Bay Inferno, is continuing to develop that great offensive line that gives, whether it's Candace Brady or a new quarterback on their roster, Bailey Drapola, to be able to give her enough time to stand upright, survey the whole field, and increase that completion percentage. We see that a lot when quarterbacks have the time to stay upright, and when they have the time to make throws, then they're going to increase completion percentage and find the ball into the back of the end zone through the air. My keys to this game largely rely on around that. The offensive-defensive line battles, both lines on great sides, both middle secondary pieces great as well, and who can convert more on a good 2024 and turn it into a great 2025.
And we'll be right back. Welcome back. Each week this season, Lois Cook will be sitting down with various players across the Pro Division to get insight on why they play and what is next for women's football. We like to call this a timeout with Lois. Here Lois Cook sits down and talks with T. Roberts of the Tampa Bay Inferno.
Tanika Roberts, I'm the running back for the Tampa Bay Inferno.
Alabama Fire find their way into the playoffs, and guess who finds their way into the end zone? Ty Roberts, touchdown National Conference, Tampa Bay representing here in Canton, Ohio.
So when you first started playing football, the experience in the game, what did that feel like from a personal athletic perspective, like that you were able to play this game? Like, what did that feel like?
It felt amazing. I never knew there was such thing as tackle football. I was playing when I was a little younger with my uncles in the field, barefoot by myself, with all the boys. I went off to college at Florida A&M, that's HBCU. I went off to Florida A&M and played flag football. I got inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2019 as a receiver and cornerback. And then I moved to Tampa, Florida, and over there they had no tackle teams that I knew of. So I played co-ed flag football, and they didn't throw me the ball, so I was really upset with them. And then I got introduced to the Tampa Bay Inferno. And when I started to play my first hit, oh my God, this girl hit me, I was livid. I thought it was illegal hit. I just didn't know anything about the sport. So after that first hit and just that first encounter, understanding the game of football, and then I started to hit back. And once I realized it was okay to hit, I went at it from there. So I released everything I had on the football field.
Roberts loose. T. Roberts looking for 3, and she's down to the 5.
Can you tell us about childhood and what football means to you, that you're able to play, and like how that?
Yeah, growing up in a little city called Fort Myers in Florida was very intense. It was just life and trauma and just a lot of that. I mean, just trying to be a person that just kind of came out of what I was experiencing. I was born and raised in something that I shouldn't have been born and raised in. But again, sometimes you don't get to choose the life you live. You just keep going into it, and this is my family. So that's how I was born. So I escaped my childhood experiences, like I said, by going to college, and ever since then, once I started playing football, I just kept at it. So I was in therapy for a very long time. It still is in therapy, but football therapy. And I replaced therapy with the WFA. He's playing in the league. So like I said, I release it out on the field, and it makes me feel like a better person.
Numbered jerseys, they're in a platinum spot right now. They go to handoff off the left side. It's Taneko Roberts from the Inferno, and an Inferno player gets the turnover.
Your family outside
Well, my family that I built is important. I had one biological son. I adopted my brother's 5 children out of the DCF system back in 2018. So I now have a parent of 6, single parent of 6 at that. It was very tough when I first got my kids, but now they're my angels. They are my family.
And then what does the WFA mean to you? To be able to play this sport, to play at the highest level, the opportunities that the WFA provides, what does that mean to you?
It means a lot to me. I just thank God for the opportunity. I'm very spiritual. I do think I am very cheesy because I'm so nervous right now, but it means a lot to me. Like I said before, I've been in therapy for many, many years, and once I started playing tackle football, I realized I no longer needed therapy. I let it all out on the field. So as much as I hold in and balled up and it can't really get out, I started this new TikTok last year, 2024. So on my TikTok, you see my little shades on. That just activates my visible powers, and then I'm able to do anything. So anything behind my shades. But ever since then, ever since football, I have not been in therapy because I let it out on the field. So this is my therapy now. So WFA means just that. If I can't play football, that's the problem. Put me back in therapy. That's what's going to happen. That's what needs to happen.
Football is for everyone. Recently in Minnesota, an 8-year-old girl was told that she couldn't play football. The Minnesota Vixen found out about this and invited her to a practice. Here's what happened.
Oh, we got one more thing. Yeah, we'll put a real helmet now. Vixen! 4, 5, 6. Family!
Alex, I'm being told that not only did this young lady appear at the Vixen practice, they're going to make her an honorary captain and let her do the ceremonial coin toss before the Vixen take on the Pride this weekend.
Well, and it's a good story because you look at the growth of the game and you look at how women's professional sport has continued to grow across all different types of sport lately. It starts at the youth level, and to be able to have the players of tomorrow connected to the game now and connected to their local franchises, that's exactly what you look at in the WFA. Whether it be the tackle version or whether it be the flag football version that's looming, you have to start at the ground level, and good on the Minnesota Vixen, the great organization with great ownership that they are, for starting this process here in the Twin Cities.
I couldn't agree more, and I want to thank the Minnesota Vixen for letting us know of this story. If you have a story that you'd like us to share on Road of Champions, we have a new email address. It's roadofchampions@gmail.com. Alex, from our new set, which is beautiful by the way, to better coverage This season is going to be great. I can't believe I'm already in my second decade of working in women's football and our fifth with this weekly show. I mean, what else is there?
That's just it. What else is there? You know, another year in Canton, Ohio at Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium. Another good opportunity to see some really good football and the continued growth of women's professional sports. You couldn't ask for anything better.
And the fact that our games of the week this year will all be aired on a women's sports network is phenomenal. I mean, Whoopi Goldberg put some money in, started this network, and for the first time in history, the women that play are going to receive a portion of the television revenues based on those games.
Well, and that's the important thing, right? Where for a long time, women's tackle football has been pay to play. This is a step in the right direction, where you can't get paid outright until the money's there, until the revenue's there. And so for this being that first step towards that payment equality, that's a really important thing for this league to have, because think about the doors that it opens for the next generation. We saw that clip of the young player with the Minnesota Vixen. Think about the doors that might open up for her when it's her time to put on the cleats and play tackle football.
For Lois Cook and Alex Wested, I'm Brian Sweeney, and we'll see you next week on the Road of Champions.